Hello, welcome to this week's episode of Emerge. I'm your host, Tiffany Boyle, and this week we will be discussing with Dorothea how to make a divine decision and hear Deshana's 2 cents about finances. You guys, today I am so excited about this show. If you don't know, well, now you know that today is National Wine Day. And we get to speak with author and wine connoisseur Anthony Jones. Today is also Senior Health and Fitness Day. And we are speaking with none other than fitness guru, CEO, and founder of Chair One Fitness, Alexis Perkines. But before we get into those topics, join me, Tiffany Boyle, in the CEO Corner. So now you've made it to the CEO Corner, the only place where you will get tips on how to live your best CEO life and emerge to the next level. But before we get into National Wine Day, because I know that's what you guys all want to talk about, and National Senior Health and Fitness Day, I want to talk about a topic that is deep. It's thought-provoking and a continuous process. I want to talk about knowing yourself and being true to yourself. See, our guest in New York City this past weekend, amazing week, some new fabulous ladies who was that or boastful or that's just who I am. You know, we really like to be a certain way. We have to do certain things, but that's not the case at all. Figure out what you like and what you don't like. Make a list if that helps. Examine your strengths. That's easy. Everyone likes to know what they're good at, right? This next part is a little harder. Examine what your weaknesses are. Oh, now that's a toughie. I personally know I am not strong at constructive confrontation. So my first instinct is to always flee, but that's not good. And also notice I use the word constructive. We can't work on or improve things about ourselves if we don't know what our weaknesses are and accept them. Know what brings you comfort. Is it going to sit at the beach by yourself? Is it gardening? Is it reading a good book? What do you like to do by yourself that brings you comfort? Not joy, not happiness, comfort. You can always take a personality test because I think those are always fun. But then again, when you're taking this test, you have to be honest when you answer the questions. Ask yourself questions like, what are my core values? What am I proud of? What do I love doing if money wasn't a factor? What would you do if you knew you couldn't fail? Ooh, that's a good one. This is key. Ask others what their interpretation of you is. I know we shouldn't care what others think, but I think there are levels to everything. We don't live in this world alone. We live with other people. And it's important to know what perception we are giving off to them. But definitely take the responses with a grain of salt. And you want people to be honest with you. So don't get mad when they tell you the truth. And in the end of this entire process, that again is a continual process, is know who you are and be true to you, boo. And I'm Tiffany Boyle, and that's my tip from the CEO Corner. Now, coming up after this segment, we will be speaking with none other than the author and wine connoisseur, Anthony Jones, who is going to help us celebrate National Wine Day. And you are listening to Emerge here on WHOV. Hi, everybody. We are here with Anthony P., author and wine connoisseur is what I'll call him. Anthony, or better known as Tony. I got to make sure I remember Tony. Not the group. But we will, let's just get started. Thank you for being on the show. We look forward
Thank you for having me.
About your work, your creativity, and while it is National Wine Day, all of your expertise when it comes to wine, because my expertise is just knowing how to drink it. So can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Well, I actually started out, went to Xavier University in New Orleans, an HBCU. I left there after 3 years, went to Meharry Medical College, thought I was going to be an OBGYN. That was my path of choice. Didn't find out until age 35 that I'm dyslexic. They caught that. I spent 15 years as a vice president with Morgan Stanley. And that's when I left medical school, is when I actually got into wine. I decided I wanted to learn about wine. So basically, I'm self-taught, but I qualify as a wine expert. I have not done the sommelier certification. Just decided not to do it after talking to a good friend of mine who is a somm. She said, look, you don't need to do it. You've got the knowledge, so don't worry about that. But yeah, so at 35, while I was a broker, I found out that I'm dyslexic. 2 weeks later, I shared a story with my mother, who insisted that I write the story I told her. I said, Mom, I just found out 2 weeks ago I'm dyslexic. I'm not writing. My mother was a teacher, and she pounded me until I started writing. And I ended up writing 10 pages on a legal pad before throwing it on a shelf and saying, never gonna happen. She died that summer, and I pulled that pad down just to transfer the 10 pages that I had written. And I ended up writing every night from 9 until 2. Looked up, I had a novel. I walked into my boss's office, said today is my last day. I enrolled in the University of Virginia to do creative writing. And now I've written 12 novels and 4 screenplays and wine on the side.
Wow.
That was a lot. And what, 2 minutes? Like 2 minutes? You gave us your whole life in 2 minutes. There's so many questions.
Yeah, it's been a fun ride. It's been interesting. I mean, I like I said, I got into wine on my own, and I was the guy that, even as a broker, is everybody hand Tony the wine list. It's just, I mean, when you do research on wine, it involves having a bottle and tasting a lot of stuff, and that's how I developed a palate. And I've been cooking since I was 6, so wine and food go together, and I can pair most wine with almost any food you got.
That's awesome. That is awesome. So tell us a little bit more about your books.
Well, I have 12 written, 3 are published. My first novel, Operation Smokeout, was about the covert overthrow of Fidel Castro. This is the story I told my mother. After writing that story, I ended up with an NSA tap on my phones. I had to go meet with the NSA. I got calls from 16 intelligence people, all asking me how I knew the things that I wrote about. It was all fictionalized. I mean, it was just out of my head, just stuff I came up with. To date, 13 things that I wrote about in that book have come true. And so it's been kind of interesting. My second novel was the same main character from the first book, but dealing with a serial killer. I came within 24 hours of signing a movie deal with Bob De Niro on that one. If his partner had read the book like she was supposed to, we would have signed a deal. But he called me the day before and asked me had she read it. And I said, Bob, I don't know. He says, call her and call me back. I knew in 30 seconds she hadn't read it. And then when I called him back after she admitted she hadn't read it, he kind of lost it. And he didn't tell me that she was on her way to a luncheon with my screenwriting partner at the time, who Bob had called the assistant director of the FBI, who was his best friend at the time, to check on me and my screenwriting partner, who at the time was one of the top profilers in the country. And the assistant director had told him and said, if Jim Clemente has touched this book in any shape, form, or fashion, you need to sign it. So he was ready to sign it. But when she arrived at the restaurant, he jumped up from the table and started screaming at her from across the room because she had not read the book. And because he embarrassed her in public, she vetoed the deal. So that was the end of that. And then the third novel, I started writing it 19 years ago. I called a buddy of mine who was a Secret Service agent at the time and said, Jerry, meet me tomorrow morning. I've got this new plot I want to run by you. He says, I'm going to bring 2 guys. I was like, no problem. I get there. One of the guys I knew was another Secret Service agent. The third guy didn't know. When I told him the plot, the third guy stands up, grabs my collar and says, come outside with me for a minute. And my buddy starts laughing. And I went, oh, I hit something. So we get outside. He goes, where did you get this from? I said, I was driving down Broad Street here in Richmond, and the entire plot popped into my head. And the guy, he shook a cigarette out. He had his back to me. He shook a cigarette out, lit it, turned around and just stared at me. And it felt like a long, long time. It's probably about, 15, 30 seconds. And then he goes, okay. He says, so I'm going to send you something tonight, and I want you to call me first thing in the morning. I was like, yeah, no problem. You're a friend of Jerry's. I'll call you. And he sent me a manifesto written by a Chinese general. It was 13 pages long. Took me 3 hours to dig through it because I was freaking out. It was my plot. So when I called the next morning, he said, get a pen, a piece of paper. He gave me a name and a phone number. He says, you have 1 hour to contact this person. If you do not call him within an hour, he will be calling you. He's with the CIA. Mm. So I called. The guy's name was Paul. That's CIA. They don't give last names. And so I called Paul and we started discussing it. Then I ended up being assigned a liaison for the entire writing of Red States. And
wow.
I had direct contact. I could call with any questions and send anything in. And I got to the end of the book and I had 2 questions. And he said, well, I don't know the answer to these. He said, I want you to call the CDC and call Customs. Tell them you've been working with me at the CIA and they will give you the information. Well, they wouldn't tell me a thing. And I got frustrated. So I picked up the phone. I called another friend of mine who actually is the brother of my screenwriting partner at the time, who was the top FBI agent with Homeland Security. I said, Tim, I'm trying to finish this book. I've got a scenario I need to know the answer to. He says, all right, shoot. I gave it to him. He says, I'll call you back in 2 hours. 2 hours on the dot, my phone rings and he goes, Tony, where did you get this drug from in this book? I said, I got it off the CDC website. And he said, we didn't know about it at Homeland Security, but we do now. You did a good job. We want you to get the book out. And then the CIA called me and says, we need you to release this book right now. And I was like, well, it doesn't work that way, but I'll do the best I can. The book came out 3 years ago. Everything that has come out of China is in that book. There was an FBI report turned into the president over a year ago that they could have taken out of my book and handed it in. It was the exact same report I had written 18 years earlier. So that's the genesis. I don't know. I just come up with crazy stuff.
Well, if you are just tuning in, you are tuned into Emerge. I'm Tiffany Boyle, along with co-host Deshana Kemp Garnett, and we are listening to the amazing stories about how Anthony P. authored 3 books, correct? Or 4 books?
Well, I've written 12. 3 are published.
3 published books, and he is also a wine expert. So when you are, you're done writing the book, what is the actual business step after that?
Well, for me right now, because what I need to tell you is that I write thrillers. Okay, so thrillers have never been published by brown writers. They're just starting to do that now. But thrillers were never published by brown writers because they never thought we had an audience. So getting signed by a major publisher has always been a challenge. I mean, I've been writing for 28 years.
Wow.
It took me 27 years to get signed by a representative. I have an attorney that signed me last year to get a deal. It wasn't until George Floyd died that they started paying attention to our books. And some of the stories, that I heard along the way, I had an agent ask me, what can I tell a publisher about a Black guy writing about Cuba? And I was like, I can research as well as anybody else. It has nothing to do with what I look like. And then, I got to the last round of voting at 4 of the top 5 publishers on my own without an agent. just me going in, until they found out that I was Black. And then I had two of them actually say to me that if you wrote more urban, we could publish your books. And I said, so you want me to write Blacker? And one of them said, yeah. I said, well, did you ask James Patterson to do that? And they said, well, why would we ask James Patterson to write Blacker? I said, his main character, Alex Cross, is a Black cop out of DC. Shouldn't he write Blacker? And it was crickets. So this is the challenge that we have faced. You know, it doesn't matter your intellect. It doesn't matter your creativity until you have an opportunity. And that is what brown writers, when I say brown writers, I mean anybody, Hispanic, Black, Native American, Asian. In the thriller genre, we've never had the opportunity. And so that is just starting to come about now. So hopefully, you know, I'll get signed by a major publisher and then I can get the rest of these books out.
That is something I would have never known about, the disparity in the genres of music. They are always trying, well, not they, but some people are always trying to put people in a certain category when it's unnecessary and not needed. I know that. So definitely going to research that a little bit more. And
please do.
Because we all know I don't like disparities. Try to fight the fight if I can.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, we have to. I mean, it's the only thing you can do. I mean, you know, we have plenty of stories that we can tell from a different perspective. Right. And they're just as compelling as anyone else's. It's the opportunity that has lacked. I mean, there was an article published in Poets and Writers I think it was last year, about the I'm trying to think of the exact name of the article was The Unbearable Whiteness of Publishing. Well, at the end of the article, there was a guy who responded who said, when is somebody going to mention the unbearable blackness of basketball? Well, after reading his response, I jumped on the computer and I started writing. And I said, what you don't realize about systemic racism in one word is opportunity. I said, if you want to use your examples of basketball, and let's include football in that. These sports were both exclusively white for years until one person was given an opportunity. Talent always rises. And so that's why basketball is 80, 90% Black and football is 72% Black, because talent will rise. But if not given the opportunity, you have no chance for your talent to rise. And that's where we are in publishing. I mean, the same thing holds true for wine. You look at the number of wineries that are Black owned. It's very, very, very few. And it was very hard for them to get in. But as they have begun to get in, their star is starting to rise, because it's not about what your skin looks like. It's about what you can do.
Right. The quality of your work or product.
Yeah. Yeah. And that holds true for writing. It holds true for wine, or it holds true for life. You know, it's opportunity. That's the key, is opportunity.
So we are tuned into Emerge. I'm Tiffany Boyle with co-host Shana Kemp Garnett. And we have now took a turn to disparities within the publishing industry and the winemaking industry. And Anthony P. is telling us all about it. And also he is now going to give us some advice on what do you think authors of color and people of color who would like to start vineyards or wineries, what can we do, or what can they do to fight those disparities?
Well, the main thing that we have to do first is just to continue practicing our craft. And that will eventually lead. I mean, eventually somebody's going to see. as I mentioned to you before, it was so difficult getting an agent to even sign anybody. Now that's starting to happen. And as those things happen, you're going to make inroads. The same goes true for wine. As more wineries are minority owned and they're producing high quality product, it's going to speak for itself. It's, I keep going back to the word opportunity because that's really the key. That's really what it is. And that's for anything. That's for the writing. That's for the wine. That's for anything that we're trying to do. You have to have one person who believes in what you're doing to get you over. And I've always said that writing is the most difficult art form. I mean, think about this. If you see a picture on the wall, you know if you like it right away. If you hear a song, you know if you like it right away. You see an athlete on the field, you know if the guy's got talent. But when it comes to writing, you have to make an investment. When it comes to wine, you have to make an investment. Okay. So for writing, unless you buy the book and invest in reading it, you don't know whether I'm good or not.
Right.
But,
right.
but true. Yeah. And hey, that's why.
What is it? My dad made me read The Hobbit. Sorry. My dad made me
That's all right.
And I remember I struggled until page 81. It stuck with me, the page, because it was so boring, the first 81 pages. And all of a sudden, as soon as 81 hit, it was amazing after that. I probably read the book in 2-3 days after that. But those first 81 pages was a struggle.
Well, here's an interesting statistic. The average reader, and when we're talking about all readers put together, the average reader never makes it past page 17 in a book. That's the average reader. When my first novel came out, here I am, I was a biology major. I didn't know anything about writing. I had, taken a few courses and things like that. I had an attorney call me from New York, and he said, "Mr. Jones, I wanted to call you. I've never read a book." He says, "No, I take that back." He said, "I start about 200 books a year. I never finish a book." He said, "I took your book to the hospital when I went to visit my cousin. I didn't leave until this morning when I finished your book." So it's about grabbing people. You've got to have something that grabs them. And, if I were a different flavor, if you will, and had the same things that have existed, the NSA, the CIA, the people that have followed me and worked with me, they would jump all over signing me. It's because, and I've been told by publishers, Black people don't read. You have to write in urban language for anybody to want to read your book. These are things that I've been told by people in the industry, and they're not true. And I even asked one guy, I says, "How come I can't write as well as you?" And it's very true that I do, and I write as well as a lot of the published writers out there. I don't have the access to their editors and their research team. I do everything on my own, and I still turn out quality work.
Wow,
but it takes one person to say, "Here we are." Now, you were talking about things that we can do. One of the key things, in my opinion, is Blacks in media talking about it. And I don't think Blacks in media understand the power that they really possess, because once they start the snowball rolling, it's going to roll.
Right.
And, if you look at a lot of Blacks in media, a lot of them are my fraternity brothers. Okay. And as tight as my fraternity is, trying to get somebody in that media industry to pick me up and run with me is very difficult because they answer to corporate, sponsors, and they answer to corporate people who control what they do. But, the minute that starts to happen, you're going to open the floodgates. And there's tons of people out there. I mean, there's an organization called Crime Writers of Color. I'm a member of Crime Writers of Color. And there are a ton of talented people in that organization who have very compelling works. It's getting our works out. And that's one of the things that could happen to make the snowball begin to really roll. Okay. And thank you so much for leading that charge and educating us about it, because I definitely didn't know. But it is National Wine Day, and we do have to end this wonderful interview a little bit soon. So can you just drop a little bit of knowledge about what we should be, maybe how we pair wine, or what we should be doing when we pick a wine, that kind of thing. I know everybody's into the Stella Rosa right now, and that drives me nuts. But yeah, no offense to all those Stella Rosa drinkers out there. But that's a sweeter wine. What you have to think about other wines, if you will, is you have to think about pairing wines with food. One of the biggest mistakes that people make is they just sit and they drink a wine. And if you're not pairing it with foods, you don't really get to experience the wine. That's where the experience comes in. That's why if you're looking at old world wines, from Italy, Italy's the largest wine producer in the world, okay? But those wines like food. And when you pair wine and food together, it changes everything. It changes the food, it changes the wine, it just opens up a whole plethora of experience. And so I always recommend to people that I work with that you want to pair wine and food. I used to, when the wine station was still open, I would run and grab something out of the back. And I said, now take a sip of that wine. Now eat this. Now take another sip. And people's eyes would just open up. And it was like, oh my gosh. I said, that's what wine is about.
That's what it's about. So how can people purchase your books?
Right now, the first book you could buy digitally on Amazon or used. The other two you can buy directly on Amazon for the moment. So it's Anthony P. Jones. And if you Google Red States by Anthony P. Jones, it'll take you right to Amazon to get the book. And if you start it, believe me, you're going to sit down and finish it. The blurb on the front of the book is from one of the top producers in Hollywood who called me and says, I read your book in 6 hours. And I started reading it again. So, so there you go. Enjoy.
Awesome. Thank you. And we are going to end with our signature question. So, Tony, what does the word emerge mean to you?
Emerge means coming out. It means becoming, if you will. For me, it means becoming the writer that I have worked 28 years to become. It means emerging to the world so they know who I am.
That's right. And we now know who you are, Anthony P. Jones. Thank you so much for being on the Emerge show. We really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. I enjoyed it.
I'm Tiffany Boyle. Thank you, Anthony. That was some great information. I'm so excited to learn about pairing wines, why it's so important to celebrate National Wine Day. Thank you so much. And how to publish my own book. And you are listening to Emerge here on WHOV. If you would like to partner with us and have your business spotlighted on the show, please contact us at emergethemagazine.com. Now we are going to take a quick break. And when we come back, we will make divine decisions with Dorothea.
You have a mission. It's no collision. Hold the phone. Don't text. You're angling to be next. Brothers and sisters, you won't see it coming. You're off the road. Your life explodes. It's not worth it. Don't do it. You only think there's nothing to it. Put it down, hang up, pay attention to highway action. Behind the wheel, there is no such thing as a small distraction. Join the conversation at decidetodrive.org, a public service message from the American Academy of Orthopedic Surgeons.
Welcome to today's lottery drawing. And today's winning numbers are not yours, not yours, and another number that's not yours. And the final number is not yours.
When it comes to having money, don't rely on luck. Brew your own coffee at home instead of buying that latte. Brown bag it to work instead of ordering it. Go to feedthepig.org for more free ideas on how to save. Feedthepig.org. This message brought to you by the American Institute of Certified Public Accountants and the Ad Council.
Welcome back. I'm Dorothea, and you're listening to Emerge on WHOV 88.1. Deshana and Tiffany just spoke with Anthony P. Jones, author and wine connoisseur. So if you're just tuning in, know that we've got you covered. Everything you didn't know and everything you need to know about the wine industry, I was definitely intrigued by his wealth of information and feel a little connoisseurish myself, if that's even a word. But anyway, you can find Anthony's interview as well as all of our previous broadcasts at www.emergethemagazine.com. Okay, so it's time for you to join me as we merge together into our greatest potential by making a divine decision with Dorothea. We all operate and navigate through the course of our lives based upon a series of decisions. A decision is defined as a conclusion or resolution reached after consideration. Divine means excellence. So we're making an excellent decision. Keeping those principles in mind, let's make the divine decision today to be thankful. So in making the decision on this week's divine decision, I knew why I thought it was important to speak on thankfulness. I knew why I thought it was a great topic for all of us to get into. But I had to personally ask myself, what, besides the obvious, are you thankful for? And of course, my life, absolutely my children, my job, I could go on. But we get it. What I mean is when I call myself being thankful, I try to apply my situation to the following statement. And that's where the true answer lies. Rejoice always. Pray without ceasing. In everything, give thanks. There were two things stated there, to rejoice always and in everything, give thanks. It didn't say rejoice in the good times or in good times, give thanks. It said to rejoice always and in everything, give thanks. My grandmother, the most influential person in my life, the woman who raised me passed. For years, I was hurt and unable to grasp that she had passed on into rest, a place we will all go one day. I had to realize that her passing didn't negate or take away from the fact that I could still rejoice in all of the love that she provided me and that I could absolutely be thankful to have been blessed with such an amazing grandmother, one who raised me and trained me in a way that I should go, a way that in which I got older, I would not depart from it. So the next time life or your circumstances deliver that feeling of despair and hopelessness, ask yourself, what can I take from it? What can I indeed be thankful for, despite the obvious? And it is in this question that you will discover all of the things that you can rejoice in, always, and that in everything you can give thanks. So I challenge you to join me today and make the divine decision to emerge into your best life by being thankful, knowing that this decision will ultimately help to shape and create a path that reflects a light of excellence in our lives. This, my friends, has been another divine decision with Dorothea. And you can decide to be a part of Emerge Wednesdays by submitting your response to our signature question. What does the word emerge mean to you? Share that with us on our IG at Emerge the Magazine. If you weren't already aware, today, Wednesday, May 25th, is National Senior Health and Fitness Day. So I'm super excited that you're tuned in today. And now, Tiffany and Deshana.
Hey, Alexis, thank you so much for coming on the show. We are so excited to talk to you today because I know with your background and the things that you do, we are going to get so much knowledge, especially celebrating National Senior Health and Fitness Month. So let's start off a little bit with just you telling us a little bit about yourself.
Yes, well, thank you. I'm really excited to be here. I'm Alexis. I've had a lot of hats that I've worn. However, right now I am the founder and creative director of Chair One Fitness, which is a chair-based dance fitness program that caters to anyone who has complications standing, and seniors are included in that. And I'm also the host of We Are Living Healthy, where we get to interview people and talk about all things health and wellness. So those are the main things that I'm doing right now, but I have been in the health, wellness, and fitness space for over a decade, and I absolutely love it.
Awesome. What do you love about it?
That's a very good question. I mean, being that I've done a lot of different things in it, a lot of times it's the camaraderie of it all, the different people that you get to meet. And then when you think about health, fitness is medicine, essentially. We get to not only extend the amount of years that somebody has on their life, but improve the quality of the years that they have. So when somebody is staying healthy, I know all the benefits. And somebody may think, oh, I'm just trying to get into a smaller pant size. Or somebody may think I'm just trying to get rid of a little bit of cellulite. But honestly, it improves the heart, it improves the mood. And so when you know what you're doing and when you can actually see the positive benefits that you're having on somebody's life and quality of that life, that's really what excites me. And I get to have fun while doing it. So I listen to the best music, do the best moves, maybe twerk a little, and but all the benefits, because actually even with twerking, it helps that lower spine. So, but yeah, so all the benefits and fun combined into one.
Well, my lower spine is no good because I cannot twerk whatsoever. So
I'm not that good at it either. Don't worry.
Deshana is staying quiet. Like,
look, I like it. Now that I know I'm getting some workout in, I might have to increase it a little bit during the week. So, Alexis, how did you get into the health and wellness industry?
I was really fortunate. My mom actually was a high-low intensity instructor way back in the day where they still wore leg warmers and the leotards over their leggings. And I was just the kid going to the gym with my mom, watching her teach with her high ponytail bouncing all over the place. And I would have never imagined that later on in life I would be doing the same thing because I was just there. I didn't think, oh, I like this, I love this. I was just there with mom. And then I'm going to age myself, but back when you used to have the radio and you'd have your little tape that you record off the radio because you couldn't afford to go buy the cassette tape. Yes, I would make the my little mixtape, and I would actually do a workout for my stuffed animals in my room. And I never thought, like, thinking back on it, it's like, what? I never knew that was all a precursor. And then in 2009, that's when I actually got certified to teach Zumba, and I was like the biggest Zumba enthusiast, running around like a skittle, listening to my bachata, reggaeton, salsa, everything, you name it. But it opened up a lot of different doors. Because of that, I ended up getting my own fitness television program. I got to teach all over the world, which was insane because somebody saw, your YouTube channel and they're like, hey, can you come teach in Italy, France, Serbia, Japan? I'm like, whoa, this is awesome. So being in this industry, I've been able to do a lot of other things that I would have never thought would have come from it. And that's where it started.
So what would you say, where have you, been able to take this journey? Like, what was your favorite country or your favorite destination?
I would say, gosh, I just love traveling the world, period. Of all the destinations that I've been to, I would say Tokyo was awesome. But I love Europe. I love it all. And the thing is that I remember prior to getting into this industry, I had a history in journalism from Norfolk State University, and I worked at a television station for 6 years, and I went on to be in advertising. I was a project manager at an advertising agency when I was asked to go teach overseas. And prior to that, I used to always pray. God, I want to see the world. If you can get me enough money from my job, and if I get enough money, I can go travel with a friend. That's what I want. So the first thing that was missing was the money. Okay. It wasn't broke. Can't go. Okay. Then finally I got a little bit of money. Then I had all my little broke friends. Well, now I could go, but they couldn't go. And I thought, dag nabbit, all I want to do is see the world. God, help me. I did not know that it would result in me being asked to teach first in France.
Nice.
And that means I got to go to France. You meet up with your host, and so they show you everywhere. So I got paid to be there, and I had a free tour guide while doing what I love. Like, how cool was that? And I thought, wow, God really does have better plans for you. Because the way that I was going to do it was not as fun as the way it actually happened.
Right.
And so I was so thankful for his change of plans, and it instilled a lot of trust in it. I mean, I always trusted him, but that blew my mind that he was like, I'm going to give you what you want, but it's going to be even better than what you asked for. So that was pretty cool.
Nice. So one, I'm going to change the way I'm praying. And two, I hope you no longer have the broke friends because you just called them out, or that they're no longer broke.
Right.
Yeah.
Luckily it was pretty cool. One time I was asked to go teach in Europe, and it was called like a Euro tour where you do like multiple stops. So it was like, first you had to go to France, and then you go to Italy, and then you go to Serbia. And what was happening is master classes were usually held on the weekends. So Monday through Thursday, it's like, what are you going to do? You know? Mm-hmm. And my best friend, I called her, I said, hey, you want to meet me in Italy? And she said, what? She was like, yeah, I got the time off. I've been working overtime. I got the money. I got the time. I will meet you in Italy. And literally, so I came right off a tour. I met her in Rome. We spent 5 days there before I had to go to my next stop, and she went home. And then one time while I was on tour, one of my friends was in Spain, and she said, oh yeah, I'm going to be in Spain. I said, I got 5 days off. You want me to come visit? She said, yeah. They took us, we went to Malaga, Barcelona, everywhere that you can think of. So yes, so now I do have friends that have money, and if ever I don't have friends that have money, I'll just call one of you.
Yes.
Right.
We're ready.
Yes.
So you said that, you went to school, you were doing journalism, and so you worked at the station, and then what was that transition like, going from working at the station into your fitness journey?
It was beautiful.
Career, rather.
It was beautiful and magical. I can't express how blessed I am. So I was working at WTKR News Channel 3 as a digital operations technician, and I was just thankful to be in the industry. A lot of mass communications majors and journalism majors, they actually don't work in their field. They end up going and doing other things totally unrelated. So I was just happy to be in the field, but I was still broke, and the schedule was not good. Okay. And then I was there, and then that's when they asked to do an interview with a Zumba instructor, and I said sure, because I was teaching in the evenings. And then when they did the interview, they said, hey, you speak really well on camera. Would you ever consider having your own show? And I'm thinking, I should speak well on camera. I got the darn degree, right? And I said sure. So that's when we actually launched Fusion Fitness, which was through the City of Newport News public school channel. Yep. And I was like, okay, so now I have my own show. But we had to deal with like music rates and things like that. And being that I didn't have any music licenses, I just literally tapped into the local market, and we ended up using all local artists. And I thought, wow, this is pretty cool. You get to have your own show. You get to produce it, which is your degree. You get to mingle with all the local artists because you're using their music on your show. And it was the perfect smacking together of the two industries that I loved, which was the broadcast side, which I love, and fitness. And I was like, bam. And then they came together. And I did that show for 5 years, which was actually the precursor to Chair One Fitness. And then now I ended up getting back into the television side because we used to air on Cox Communications. And when they were about to start their new show, We Are Living Healthy, they said, Alexis, would you consider being the host? Will you come test for it? I said, sure, I'll try it. And so now I still am doing the television thing while being able to talk about health and wellness to people in all industries. But that's how they ended up transitioning. And then what happened is that I was working at the ad agency after WTKR, and then I went on that Euro tour, and then I came back and they fired me.
Oh, wow.
Yes. Now, I would have never quit. I mean, I had my son who was in elementary school. So I would have never quit. Who quits? No mom providing for your kid quits to go fulfill the dream. You're like, ain't no way I'm going to quit. I'm going to figure out another way. Right. So I remember I was on my way back from France. It was the best trip I ever had, talking about sleeping on floors, hustling, working all these fitness classes, eating street food with all my friends who didn't hardly speak any English. And I was like, oh, I love this. I want this. Right. God, you didn't just let me get here to take it away. God, come on now. And so I had one of those composition notebooks, the black and white composition notebooks, 50 cents on the back to school sale. And I was on the airplane and I was crying and I was writing out numbers. How could I do this full time if I wanted to? How could I do this full time if I wanted to? And then I cried my eyes out, and then I went back home. And then I was home for about 10 days or so. And I cried every day on my way to work. Every day on my way to work, I cried. And then when I walked in one day, I was like, oh God, here we go again. And then they said, we're sorry, but we're going to have to let you go. And they gave me that little box like they do in the movies. And I was like, oh, wow, I'm getting fired. Okay. And I remember I was very calm about it. And then I looked up at the sky. Okay, I'm fired. Okay, fired. And then I was going home. I hadn't yet picked up my son from school because he was in after school care. And I came home and I dropped to my knees and I prayed and I said, God, I don't know what you're doing, but I trust you. And in that moment, he said, your notebook. I said, oh, crap, I wrote a plan. I have a plan. Right. And then I grabbed my notebook and it was probably about 75% complete. And then I told myself, okay, I'm going to file for unemployment. I know it lasts for 6 months. That 6 months, I'm going to give 100% to being an entrepreneur. And if it doesn't work out, then I'll actually look for real jobs. Right. And within 30 days, I was working really hard, but I was making more than what I was making at my 9 to 5. And I've been an entrepreneur ever since. Mm-hmm.
Nice.
Yeah. So that's how the full transition happened.
Right. Yeah. You are tuned in to Emerge, and I'm Tiffany Boyle with co-host Shana Kemp Garnett, and we are listening to a powerful story of how Alexis Perkines emerged from working a 9 to 5 to being an entrepreneur and has not looked back, and now is the founder of Chair One Fitness, which is an amazing organization, fitness instruction company for people who are not able to walk or can't work out. We cover yes, I will tell you the people that we usually cater to are seniors. Also, and I'm going to tell you the people who we typically don't think about that our program is for. We cater to seniors, those who have vertigo, so therefore they're susceptible to falling, those who have had amputations, wheelchair users, those who have had a stroke and can only use one side of their body. Also, for those who have dementia or any type of developmental disability, because it keeps their attention span while they're seated. Also the obese, because when somebody's getting started on the weight loss journey, if you are 300 or 400 pounds, all that weight bearing on your knees hurts. So it's a way to get started. If somebody's had a hip replacement, if somebody's had a torn ACL, they can't yet stand, but they want to still stay fit while they're recuperating. Pelvic organ floor prolapse, anything like that where it's beneficial for somebody to be seated. And I did not know all that in the beginning. In the beginning, I thought it was just for seniors. Didn't know. And It was through Fusion Fitness and the TV show. When we did 2 chair episodes, it was all the feedback we got on YouTube. Like I said, we were on air for 5 years. We taped 40 episodes, 38 that was high intensity dancing. You know how I do. And then there were 2 that were from a chair. The ones that were high intensity, we averaged about 3,000 views. Mm-hmm. But when you went to the chair
episodes, they jumped to 500,000 with comments and emails daily. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm obese. Thank you. I do this with my dad. Thank you. I had hip replacement surgery. And I was like, oh, wait a minute. There's a lot of people who need this.
Right.
And then I said, well, let me give it to them.
Love it. Love it. Love it. And how long have you been offering these services?
I started off just teaching classes at senior communities, me just an instructor. And then I would teach in one community, then I would get asked to go to another community, and then I did not have any subs. So when I was traveling, who was going to cover my classes? Fitness instructors did not know how to cater to specific populations. How do you cater to somebody who has dementia? How do you cater to somebody who has a stroke? What do you do? And the recreational therapists and activities professionals who work in that industry had no clue how to teach a fitness class. And so I said, I wonder if I did something. And then I randomly just decided I'm going to start a program. And then I sat down at my local Starbucks and I wrote out a training manual, not even knowing what was going to happen. And it didn't even have a name. And then after I wrote it, I sent it to my friends to confirm if it was good. I sent it to somebody who was a doctor of physical therapy, somebody who specialized in high school curriculum, somebody who specialized in administration, somebody who worked in the hospital. I said, look at this and tell me if it's good. And they said, it's good. And then after that, we got the name, and then I sent it. I still wasn't ready to start training others yet to become instructors. I was really big on having the respect behind the name. I didn't want anybody saying, who are you to train others to instruct? You are not a doctor. You have a bachelor's degree in journalism and you teach Zumba. Who are you to be the expert in this? And so to avoid that, I was like, I'm going to submit it to as many organizations as I can to get approved. And then it was magic. We submitted it to the National Academy of Sports Medicine, approved. The Aerobic Fitness Association of America approved. The NCTRC for the National Certification Council for Certified Recreational Therapists approved. And once we got approved by dementia practitioners, I was like, yeah. And so then it was, but then it just gave me the confidence, like, you know what we're creating is good, and it's authentic, and it has a scientific background that gives people all of the health benefits. And then I got to see it in action. When I got to see one of my students go from a wheelchair to a walker, that was incredible. When I had somebody message me that they were subscribing to our workouts and they had to cancel their subscription, it was the most beautiful cancellation I've ever received. They said, hi, I have to cancel my subscription, but I wanted to send you guys an email first. My mother was 93. She worked out with you all the time. She just passed away. But whenever she worked out with your program, she smiled. So I'm only canceling because my mother passed, but I needed to let you guys know that you kept her moving up until her last day. And I was like, blown. So yeah, so it's pretty, it's an awesome position to be in.
That is so awesome. So since it is National Senior Health and Fitness Month, what is some advice you would give to our seniors out there to stay healthy?
To seniors? Okay. Yeah. To seniors, I'm actually going to speak to something that is in our instructor training. And that is, we go beyond perceived limitations, enabling everyone to stay active no matter their age or ability. And the key word is perceived limitations. And that goes two ways. One, the limitations that people put on themselves. I can't do this because I have arthritis. I can't do this because fill in the blank, XYZ, all of the excuses. Yes, you can. And I've seen it. And the other one is the limitation that we accidentally put on others, meaning my mom can't do that. She's 93. Nah, you see that dude had his mom doing it. And so sometimes we accidentally use ageism with our participants. Like, they can't do this. Yes, they can. And I have seen a 93-year-old do my high intensity workout and a 40-year-old that couldn't. So it's not about the age. It's just jumping in and getting started and just giving it a go. There's so many reasons to stay active, no matter what. Even if somebody's in a wheelchair, they still need that caloric expenditure. They still need to get their heart rate up. I know I wear my my Apple Watch when I'm working out, and I will meet my fitness ring after one class, and I absolutely love it. And I just think when we're talking about seniors specifically, many people think that once you hit a certain age that it's downhill from there, and it is not. You can recover, you can improve somebody's range of motion, you can improve somebody's cognition. If somebody has dementia or Alzheimer's, you can't prevent it, but you can slow down the process in which it's occurring, and by firing off. And that's another thing, even with Chair One Fitness specifically, is that a lot of movements fire off both the left and the right side of the brain, which is so important. That's why they tell you to do Sudoku and everything else. But we definitely want to make sure that we are staying healthy, both physically, mentally, emotionally, having that camaraderie, having those good vibes that come up, releasing the serotonin and dopamine in the brain. We want to do all of that. And that can be done at any age. And seniors are my favorite population. I don't know why. I love my grandma. She is funny. And seniors happen to be my favorite population. We can teach a lot of different people. We can teach kids. We can teach whomever. Not my thing. Seniors, my golden girls, my grandmas and my grandpas, they are special in a good way. Right. Very special. They have stories. They have wisdom. They love you. And so I say, being that we're talking about seniors, just not allowing them to put the limitations on themselves, encouraging them to get moving if they have any self-doubt. Also, if you accidentally put a limitation on them, remove it. And just have a good time. Gotta love the seniors.
Great. So you are tuned in to Emerge. I am your host, Deshana Kemp Garnett, along with co-host Tiffany Boyle. And we have had the pleasure of listening to the amazing story of Miss Alexis Perkines, who is the founder and creator of Chair One Fitness and the host of We Are Living Healthy. Now, Alexis, your energy has been unbelievable. I have absolutely loved your story, and I hate to bring this to an end, but we must. But before we let you go, I have 2 questions for you. The first question is, what is your contact information as far as social media? If someone wants to maybe reach out to you about some fitness, attend your classes, how would we get in contact with you?
Yes, I know. Contrary to popular belief, I usually say I'm kind of like an internet whore. It's easy to find me. I'm so easy to find on there. But it's just Alexis Perkines. If you put in Alexis Perkines and fitness, I'll usually pop up right there. But if it's on Instagram, if you type in I am King Alexis, that's the Instagram. And like I said, if you just Google Alexis Perkines and fitness, you'll find so many different ways to contact me. If you're on Facebook, there's Alexis Perkines and or Body by Alexis. And again, Instagram is I am King Alexis. And I'm pretty good at responding. And if somebody even calls Chair One Fitness, the call center will take the call, but then they'll loop it right back to me. So I'm very reachable.
Awesome. All right, my next question is our signature question, and it is, what does the word emerge mean to you?
Emerge. What is the word emerge? To emerge. You know what? I like the word emerge. It's when something emerges, it's coming up out of something, It's like when I think about a plant or anything like that, the first thing it has to do is emerge out. It's just small at first. It's just small, but that's the hardest part. That's the hardest part, is getting past the dirt, or as people say in the concrete jungle, the rose that pops through. And that's the hardest part. But then after you emerge out, even though you still might be small, because we all start off small, right? You might be small in that moment, but just being a little budling, you can still feel the sun. You can still feel the air. You're out. You might be a budling, but you've emerged. And that's that moment feels good. That first win, when somebody's starting something, that first win, when you get that win, it might be a small win, but any moment where you can say, I did it. That goal that I had, I did it. And to me, I love the whole process of emerging. But for anybody listening, I'm just going to go ahead and forewarn them. If you're ambitious and if you have tenacity and chutzpah and all the good things, no matter what level you emerge at, there's going to be another level and you're going to emerge again. It never stops. It never stops. You may get comfortable and the next thing you know, you feel like you're in dirt again. And then you have to emerge again. But it's a beautiful process of constantly emerging out of whatever situation you're in at that time.
I think that is an amazing definition. I'd love to hear everybody's different take on the word emerge. I want to say it has been an absolute pleasure having you on our show today. And I can't wait, to visit the studios. I think, chair fitness might be for me. And it's not because I have some perceived limitations. I just don't want to exercise the normal way.
Well, I will gladly welcome you. We have some good stuff. We just released our choreo to Adele, which is pretty dope. And we just recorded Icons, which is all Michael Jackson, Prince, When Doves Cry. It's not out yet, but it's coming.
Nice. Well, let us know when it comes out so we can share it with our Emerge audience.
Yes.
I'm Deshana Kemp Garnett, and it's time for my 2 cents. So what are we going to talk about this week? This week, we are going to talk about being financially fit. And I know a lot of people are probably thinking, what does that even mean? I know that was something I used to think a lot, like, what does it actually mean to be financially fit? So often when we think of fitness, we tend to focus on our bodies. But how often do we think or even talk about our financial fitness? Who do you have closest to you that you are willing to let in and share your innermost secrets about your finance? Be honest. What is financial fitness? What does it even mean to be financially fit? Well, financial fitness is being able to manage your money in a way that meets your current and future needs. How do we manage our money? I know this is something when I was younger, I really, really struggled with managing my money, because for me, if I have money in my pocket, I'm going to buy it. And what I had to learn is that there is a big difference between being able to buy something and being able to afford something. Once you can learn how to manage your money, you're on your way to becoming financially fit. Some tips to help you become financially fit include understanding the money you have coming in and going out. If you have more money going out than coming in, that is a big red flag. In order to manage that, I recommend you create a budget. When you create the budget, make sure you add pay yourself first. That means make sure you are saving money. Another component is paying bills on time and minimizing unnecessary spending. I know y'all like to spend. Believe me, I like to spend too. But think about, is this really something I need or is this something I want? Do you want to spend your days and nights thinking about money you spent that you really didn't have it to spend? You owe it to yourself to be financially fit. I'm Deshana Kim Garnett, and that's my 2 cents. Let's take a look at some local and regional activities. Are you looking for a business resource in the area? Hampton Roads Score offers business mentorship, workshops, and other helpful tools to enable small business owners and entrepreneurs succeed and thrive in today's challenging business climate. Visit hamptonroads.score.org for additional information. Ladies Around the Globe hosts LAG 757 Brunch, a rooftop brunch on June 25th at 12 o'clock p.m. at Monroe Rooftop in Hampton, Virginia. For additional information, visit www.ladiesaroundtheglobe.com. Emerge Awards and Premiere, the must-attend event of the year. Emerge presents a 3-day event all about entrepreneurs starting Sunday, October 16th through Tuesday, October 18th. You don't want to miss out on these events. Visit www.emergepremiere.com for more information. Thank you to our guests on today's show. If you missed some of the show or to listen to past episodes, visit www.emergethemagazine.com.
Emerge, emerge.